Great pleasure to welcome back to the show. Man has written another great novel in his Peter Ash series. This one's called Burning Bright. We're joined today by Nick Petrie from, I believe he's up in Wisconsin today. And Nick, good to have you back with us. How are you?
Thanks, Doug. I appreciate being back. I'm having a great day. It's despite the freezing rain we're having here in Milwaukee.
Yeah, no, looking at your itinerary here, at least you're going to go to someplace warm later this week, right? You're going to Arizona, so that's not too bad.
That's right. I'm going to Scottsdale, and then I'm going to Houston, so I'm going to have a good time.
Then you got to go back to Minneapolis, so tough schedule.
Right. I'm bringing my swim trunks and my long underwear.
Got to make a Florida trip on one of your tours. Come down here.
Oh, I'd love to.
Well, I think we talked to you last spring or summer when the previous book came out, so congratulations on that, and right back with another Peter Ash novel. So it's working well, isn't he, that character?
Yeah, he's developing quite an audience, and he's so much fun to write. I don't know, it's wonderful to have a character who is more decisive than I am in his day-to-day life, certainly.
And again, for people that weren't with us, Peter Ash served in the military and saw a battle, and it has affected his life, right?
It has. He's got post-traumatic stress, and his particular symptoms are that he's claustrophobic, so it's hard for him to be inside for long periods of time.
And this time, I think the previous book, the adventure was around where you are now in Milwaukee, right? But now he goes to Northern California?
That's right. One of the fun things about writing about a guy who basically can't go inside is that it's kind of hard for him to have a home, so I get to write about other places in the country where I've been and really have enjoyed being. So I spent 10 years living in Seattle, and the book starts in Northern California, and it's kind of a road book up through Oregon and into Seattle and then into the Cascade Mountains.
He's in the woods, right? He's kind of walking around there, and I don't want to give too much away, but he runs into a situation, I guess, what is it, like a rope hanging down?
Yeah, the book starts in the redwoods, and he's hiking, and he gets chased up a little redwood sapling by a hungry bear, and he has to spend the night in the tree because the bear camps out beneath the tree. And he wakes up, and he's cold, and he's wet, and he's tired, and he decides to climb up toward the sun, and this little sapling only gets him up 40 or 50 feet, but he looks over, and he sees a rope hanging down from this giant redwood, and he just sort of says, hey, what am I waiting for? And he climbs up the rope, and at the top of the tree, he meets a woman on the run who needs his help, and that's how things get rolling.
That's where the fun begins.
Absolutely.
And this woman, I'm not giving too much away here, but she's a reporter, right? Investigative reporter. So she's stumbled on something that's dangerous, right?
She has. Her mom is a researcher at Stanford and is developing a piece of software that has turned out to be very valuable. And so people are chasing June, trying to get a hold of this algorithm, and Peter is enlisted to protect her.
Yeah, she runs into, the story deals with, it's kind of a spy novel in a sense, right? A military spy novel.
Well, it's a little bit of a spy novel and sort of it's almost a little bit of a sci-fi novel in a way. There's this, one of the things about writing about Northern California and the Northwest, which is, it's our tech capital here in the U.S. So it was an excuse to write about, experimental technologies. But the funniest part about this is that I started writing about technologies that I thought were, years in the future that were just being developed in my book. And by the time I'd gotten to the end of the book, it turned out that a couple of things that I had really thought were just kind of in my imagination are actually in development out in the world. Wow. So it's it's kind of crazy.
Do you do research on the technology just to kind of keep it somewhat accurate, or can you make up something totally out of the blue when you do that?
Well, the goal is to try to be accurate, and there's a great publication, the MIT Technology Review, and they have an online version which you can read for free, which does a little stories on kind of what these new technologies are, and it ranges from medical healthcare, genetics, power generation, green power, engineering. It's all fields, and it's really fascinating. I grew up, reading, among other things, reading science fiction, and so I'm really fascinated by this stuff. I'm still a little disappointed that I don't have my jetpack yet, so I'm waiting for that, but I may be waiting a while.
And they did say all that would come by around the year 2000, but I guess we're still waiting on a lot of that stuff, right? From the Jetsons.
Yes, we have. Well, predicting the future is a hard smart thing to do, I guess.
Yeah. But Star Trek, if you're a fan of that show, the communicators, I mean, basically that's what the cell phone was. They had CDs and DVDs on Star Trek that, turned into that later. So a lot of that stuff came true.
Sure, we're all carrying supercomputers in our pockets. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit about the character Peter Ash. The previous book I should mention was The Drifter, which did very well. Has he changed a lot since the first book? Have you added more to him?
Well, he's evolving. So in the first book, he's really about his post-traumatic stress, and the book centers really on veterans and how they are coming home from their wars overseas and how they're trying to return to something like a normal life or to build a new life. So that was the first book. The Drifter was that was sort of the centerpiece of that book. And this is, I didn't really have a plan when I started writing, but I wanted Peter to fall in love, and I wanted it to take place on the West Coast because I sort of wanted to explore some of this technology stuff I was interested in. So the overall arc, if you think of a book has chapters, so if you think of a book series, each book is a chapter in that series. Mm-hmm. But the goal is to sort of have Peter move through his challenges and to try to sort of evolve through what he wants his life to be. And I talk to veterans on a regular basis who are navigating this same journey. So that's part of what makes it interesting for me. And research is part of the great pleasure for writers to be able to dive into the world and to learn new things and to talk to new people. So that's for me one of the best things about being a writer.
Yeah, it's a great combination of things that are actually happening and then making an entertaining story out of it. So that's the great thing you can do in a novel. This one's called Burning Bright, and we've been talking with Nick Petrie, again, another one of his Peter Ash novels. I'm sure you got some more stories in your head for future books. This character is going different places, I would imagine, in your mind, right?
Well, absolutely. I'm editing the third book right now, and that takes place in Colorado, and it's centered on the newly legal marijuana industry in Colorado. And it turns out that there are a number of companies that are run by and staffed by veterans who act as protectors for cannabis retailers and growers. One of the problems with this brand new industry is that the federal government, it's legal in the states, but it's still not legal federally. So these businesses basically have to do everything in cash. They have to pay their taxes in cash. They do payroll in cash. Everything comes in cash. Everything goes out in cash. And they can't use a bank because the feds will crack down on a bank that is knowingly doing business with drug dealers, which is how the federal government still considers this entirely state legal enterprise to be. So I got turned on to this by a newspaper story about a veteran-owned company who are basically acting as armed guards and moving money from one place to another. So to me, that was another kind of fun chapter in this story. Is we'll hear something else that veterans are doing, start their lives back up again. And it was a chance to tell some exciting stories because you've got money and guns and drugs. So, hey, what could possibly go wrong?
Right. Well, look forward to talking to you when that comes out. That'll be later this year, I guess, right? Somewhere
I think it's January 2018, so a year from now.
Okay, well, we'll look forward to that. But in the meantime, we invite our audience to check out Burning Bright. And, Nick, give out your website once again. People get more information about you, the book.
NickPetrie.com, NickPetrie.com.
Great. Nick, pleasure talking to you. Congratulations on the book. Have a good time on your tour, and we'll talk to you again next year.
Well, thanks for the time, Doug. I really appreciate it, and it was lovely talking to you, too.
Great. Thank you.
I'm Stan Brock. 30 years ago, I formed Remote Area Medical to help people overseas. But then we found generations of families in America isolated by poverty from the health care they need. Together, we can take dental, vision, and medical help to 1 million adults and their kids, right here at home in the United States of America.
If you'd like to order the book we're talking about, please go to DougMilesMedia.com and enter the author's name in the Amazon search box. Thank you for listening. Please come back soon for more conversations here at DougMilesMedia.com. This has been a presentation of Doug Miles Media, all rights reserved. You can listen to or download previous programs at iTunes, Stitcher.com, or Doug Miles Media.